It, no. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and my apologies. I'm trying to share the screen, but I don't know. Oh, um, I'm actually having difficulty sharing the slide, but nevertheless, can we can proceed. Okay. Oh, unable to share the screen. So this is a challenge I'm having. I was trying to share the screen, but we can also proceed without sharing the screen. So welcome again to our webinar today, and we all know is PCOS. We all know it's PCOS Awareness Month, and which is the main reason why we are having this webinar. It's PCOS Awareness Month, and the Foods and Nutrition Limited is also participating in this PCOS Awareness Month. I'm glad to have you on board, and I'm always happy whenever you tune in to be part of what we're doing. Okay, and today we'll be talking about PCOS. The topic is PCOS, genetic or environmental. PCOS, genetic or environmental. My apologies, I have to be looking at my slides because I initially had the slide here. I wanted to share the slide so everybody can view, but I don't know. I'm finding it difficult sharing the slide, but I have to look at my slide as I make this presentation. And when I'm done with the presentation, I will also put on the slide on this YouTube channel so you can look at it and learn more. Okay, so that is why I will have a bit divided attention, but nevertheless, it's all for good. So let's kick off. At the end of this webinar, there's some points you're supposed to learn. One, each participant should know the meaning of PCOS, okay, the causes, how to prevent it, and other related health issues attached to PCOS. There are some health issues that are attached to PCOS. Participants should be also participants should also learn the genetic factors that contributes to it, the environmental factors that contributes to it, and also the nutrient requirements in PCOS. Now, let's start with the introduction. My apologies, I it's just difficult sharing my slide. That's why I have to go this way. I tried a couple of times and it wasn't coming up as expected. Okay, let's go this way. One, what is PCOS? PCOS is just a short form, but it's called polycystic ovary syndrome. That's the name. Polycystic ovary syndrome is a condition that affects hormones, especially in female. Okay, so when we say prostate health is linked to male, PCOS is linked to female. And in PCOS, that's the polycystic ovary syndrome. The ovaries that release egg produce excess type of hormone called androgen. Androgen is a male hormone, and this leads to hormonal imbalance in women that are being affected. Now, research have it that PCOS is very, very common in females between the age of 18, the pre-adolescence, between the age of 18 to 45, 44 years. Now, looking at this age gap, you'll notice that this is the age of women of reproductive age. Women of reproductive age, these are the people that always have the issues of PCOS. This according to a research carried by Nida et al. In 2019. So it's more of a recent research. Okay, saying that in PCOS, the ovaries release eggs, more of androgen, which should be male, and at the same time, it causes a hormonal imbalance in women affected, and then it's for women of childbearing age. Now let's look at the symptoms. What are the possible symptoms of PCOS? What will somebody see and say, I think I have PCOS? What are the conditions that will make someone say, yeah, I think I have PCOS? Number one, to some people, it could be hair loss. Then to other people, it could be hair, facial hair. Okay, when a woman start having facial hair more than the normal hair that should be on the face, these are also symptoms. Sometimes there could be an experience of maybe a pelvic pain, which because it's a pelvic pain, if the pain comes sharply once in a while, someone may think, oh, maybe I'm about to ovulation or menstrual pain. It can be tagged anything, but these are possible symptoms. Another symptom is irregularity in menstruation. You see your period January, you don't see it till June. It is a symptom of PCOS. Another one is fatigue, getting tired easily. Even when you've eaten and after some hours, you're also tired. Even when you've not really, done a lot of work that should take up your energy, the person gets tired. And another one is acne. Acne on the faces. This is another sign of PCOS. Now, and another one is overweight. It's very common to see people who have PCOS being overweight. It's very common. But also note that there are some people that also have this PCOS that are not overweight. They are very, very slim, and they may say, oh, I'm slim. Maybe something is wrong. This is not PCOS. The person may be having PCOS, but because you're not overweight, you may feel less concerned. Okay. And another thing is infertility. Because there is irregularity in the monthly flow and absence of ovulation, infertility is also part of it. Okay, so now we'll move at causes. Remember, our topic is PCOS, environmental or genetic. So we're going to look at the genetic part of it and also the environmental part of it. Now, environmental factors that that makes PCOS more evident in women. Number one is inhaling of polluted air. Inhaling of polluted air is a very, very serious issue, and this is very common for people that are staying in urban areas compared to people in the rural area. If you check the quality of air in the urban region and the rural region is different. Sometimes I just keep saying if there will be air filter for people that stay in urban region to reduce the rate of air pollution. as it also can cause gene mutation, which is not good. Okay, now one is inhaling of polluted air. Then number two of this environmental cause is consuming of plastic packaged food. Is very common. The takeaway you normally see is always plastic package, and at the back of the takeaway is just a common word they call it here in Nigeria. They call it takeaway. Then at the if you turn the takeaway, you see something like you can use it in your microwave. That's another danger calling. So people take it, they get back to their hotel rooms or home or anywhere. They just put this plastic takeaway directly to their microwave to heat up the food for them. So they're saying consuming of plastic packaged food is very, very bad. The same thing, consuming of food, let me say hot food, hot tea, putting it in a plastic cup is very, very dangerous. The third one on the list is living close to exposed garbage heaps. Irregular dumping of refuse in the streets, just around the area where people live. This is an environmental problem that is so bad, um, that can enhance PCOS. Okay, so when people live close to garbage should be disposed either in a container covered properly, and even when they carry the garbage from the where people live, they should dispose it in an area that is very far from where people live, because studies have shown that living close to exposed garbage heaps can also facilitate PCOS in women. Number 4 is consuming pericarps of food that may have been exposed to herbicide. Example, when you get your apples, you get your cucumbers, all those pericarp of food that normally they are edible, okay? When you consume them without peeling the back, the tendency that the pesticide that were used on them while on farm to help it from getting spoiled, that they have the ability to contribute to PCOS in women. This simply means when you get your fruits from now onwards, please, after washing the back, the pericarp like cucumber, apple, please peel it off before you consume. Another one is working in an acid plant. When they say what a man can do, a woman can do it. No. There are reservations to this. There's a kind of work a woman will engage herself. She's not just posing herself, to danger, but also the unborn keys to danger. A woman that works in a particular, an acid plant or some chemical plant that the chemicals they inhale there is very, very high, and she doesn't take something that helps cleanse off these chemicals in her body. What happens is that over time the tendency of getting PCOS is there, and the tendency of giving birth to a female child who have PCOS is also high. Okay, then smoking and taking alcohol is another factor. That is under lifestyle. Actually, smoking and taking alcohol is something you should avoid if they want to have PCOS. Now down to the genetics. And what do we have in the genetics? In PCOS, a gene defect disrupts the biochemical pathway that results in ovary dysfunction. Okay, and also in genetics, you have the diabetes, you have obesity, and consuming Chinese medicine, according to Choba et al. In 2019. But now my reservation on this consuming Chinese medicine is this: is not applicable to all. If your genetic composition fits into this particular medicine, there is no issue. That is why it's good to consume food that are tailored to your gene, so that you don't have any problem with it. Then, what are the prevention and management of PCOS? Oh, number one is your lifestyle. Lifestyle really matter, because no matter what they ask you to do in the hospital or anything, diet alone cannot give you the complete results you need. Okay, so your lifestyle really matter. You have to stop alcohol, do smoking, you know, avoid eating food with plastic, eating food with hot food with plastic. You have to avoid it. You have to, you know, lose weight. For the ladies, it's good. One of the things you should check out always, not just adding, always check out your body. When you are conscious about weight loss, be also conscious about your body mass index, so that it will be within the healthy range. Okay, because if you lose weight, the tendency of having it is low. If you eat well, the tendency of having it is low. And if you exercise, the tendency of having PCOS is also low. Now, there are foods you also need to avoid, because it's common when you look at the male and female gender. You notice that the female gender love to take lots of processed food, snacks, sweets, biscuits, pastries and all that. You have to avoid processed food, carbonated drinks, soda, saturated fats like butter. You have to avoid them. You have to avoid fried foods. You have to avoid alcohol. You have to avoid red meat. These are the things you need to avoid. Okay, then there are also long-term illnesses that are linked to this PCOS, like the type 2 diabetes. We have the high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, and even breast cancer. This shows that on the long run, when someone is having PCOS, on the long run, these are the possible health issues that a person can have. Now, let's look at the nutrient requirements. One of the nutrient requirements in PCOS is vitamin D. Here in Africa, I would say that vitamin D is a free vitamin. But at the same time, for vitamin D to be very, very effective, it needs to work closely with calcium. You need calcium, presence of vitamin D for optimal activation and for it to work very, very effectively. Now, vitamin D deficiency is common among women with PCOS, and this makes it an important nutrient for individuals having this PCOS, according to Aleka et al. In 2016. Now, low vitamin D shows insulin resistance, and when there's low vitamin D, ovulation becomes difficult to achieve in women already having PCOS, and also it increases infertility among women who have this PCOS present in them. So what it simply means is that if someone is having PCOS, even if you're on supplementation by nutritionists, they tell you, okay, you're having PCOS, vitamin D is an essential vitamin for PCOS. If you are taking that vitamin D, you should also ensure that you're taking calcium-rich food to activate the function of that vitamin D. But if you're just taking supplementation of vitamin D and there's no calcium equivalent, it's also like you're not doing anything. You won't get results out of it. Okay. Now, the second thing is omega-3 fatty acid. Omega-3 fatty acid is very, very important for women generally, or people living with PCOS. Why I mentioned the nutrient requirement in PCOS, you should also note that whether you're having it presently or whether you're not having it, this food I'm going to list, these nutrients I'm going to need, ensure you take them, because you may not have it genetically, but based on environmental factors, things that you've inhaled, and some kind of lifestyle, the tendency that is there may be high, especially if you're someone that grew up in the urban region and still living in the urban region. Okay. Omega-3 fatty acid you can get from your fish. You can also get it from nuts like walnut, chia seed. They're very, very essential. You have your vitamin B1, your niacin, you have your vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E. Vitamin E, you can even get vitamin E from your avocado pear, okay? And also vitamin K. These are the nutrients need for someone having PCOS. Please note, not just for someone having it. If a young lady, you should also engage in taking more of these nutrients to help you, okay? Then talk about polyunsaturated fatty acid, which olive oil is a very good one you can use and cook. And we also fiber, it's good you take a lot of fiber. Plant-based diets, they help a lot. Low carbohydrates, if you're having PCOS or if you're a lady generally, you reduce your carbohydrate intake and eat high fiber with lean protein sources. Then when you eat, make sure you eat low food grains that have low glycemic index, not just grain but foods that have low glycemic index like fonio, millet. They have cucumber, the glycemic index is also low. Brown rice, the glycemic index is also low. Now let me give you an example. All fruits have a different glycemic index, the same thing as glycemic load. Um if you get watermelon, for example, and get cucumber glycemic index is lower than watermelon. This simply shows that someone who is having PCOS or someone that's even diabetic should go more on the cucumber than the watermelon due to the glycemic index, and owing to the fact that you need foods that are lower in glycemic index when it comes to PCOS. Now, what high fiber diet does in PCOS clients or patients is that it increases their insulin sensitivity. That is what fiber diet does. And while increasing their insulin sensitivity, it lowers the male hormone production, that is androgen, that we talked about in the introduction. Insulin sensitivity increases, the male hormone will start decreasing. And when the male hormones start decreasing, you notice that there will be an increase in egg production in those women. Ovulation will gradually return, their menses would gradually balance. That is why they say they should take high fiber diet, and that is what it does to them. Now, PCOS is also associated with low selenium. Selenium is an essential mineral. Now, selenium can be found in a common crop like the okra. Okra will take. My advice for people is this: if they tell you that this food is good for this, you must not stick on the traditional. In some cases, please, you must not stick on that traditional method they know for preparing it. For example, you've noticed that okra is rich in selenium, and okra can help in PCOS. You must not wait to make it and take it with swallow. Okay, you can actually just make it that way. Bring it and just drink it. Drink the soup, okra with a lot of onion. That is perfect. Now, a study revealed that in a study carried out by Aye et al. In 2025, is a very recent study. Remember, I told you that one of the benefits of this webinar is that we are going to give you facts from science, because anything that is evidence-based, if you try it, it works. Okay, so Aye et al. In 2025, this is a study they did earlier this year. They noticed that 200 microgram of selenium supplement that was administered daily to some participants. It was administered for like 8 to 12 weeks to participants. At the end of the 12 weeks of the study, they noticed that it reduced insulin resistance. After giving them selenium for that 8 weeks, it reduced insulin resistance, inflammation in the PCOS women, and oxidative stress. Okay, this alone is an evidence base that shows that taking selenium if you're having PCOS will really help you a lot. This is a recent research this year. And again, probiotics is important if you're having PCOS. To try diet, you can consider ketogenic diet, you can consider the Mediterranean diet that's having low carbohydrates in the food you eat. Then another study still this year by the same Aya et al. And his colleagues 2025. Another study this year, they discovered that they had like 480 participants for this study. It shows that calcium and vitamin D co-supplementation improved the menstruation frequency. Now let me explain. Remember earlier I told you that vitamin D is one of the vitamins that is lacked by women that have PCOS. At the same time, I told you that if a woman that is having PCOS issue that is taking vitamin D but is not taking calcium, you will not get results. So this study now carried out in 2025 by Aya et al. They brought out like 480 women with this issue, and they did a co-supplementation. They were giving them the vitamin D, they were giving them the calcium at the same time, because these two need to be together, these two need to work together for you to get the effective results. So at the end of the day, they noticed that there was improved menstrual cycle by the 480 women sampled. Now again, low glycemic diet also aids to regulate the blood sugar and ovulation. When you keep taking fruits that have low glycemic index, I mentioned the fonio, the oats, the brown rice, the blood sugar of someone that is already having this issue will regulate. Okay, and it's when you also take high protein diet, it will help in weight loss. That is for someone who have PCOS and is also overweight. Okay, now, and apart helping in weight loss, it also helps in glucose metabolism. Then there are some spices that people that have this issue should take always. It should be part of their meal. There are some herbs and some spices that are naturally, it should be part of their meal. But before I begin, number one, if you have PCOS, you can also consider, if you can, I think that would be a very big credit, eliminating bouillon cubes, spices from your food. If you can, that will really be perfect. Eliminate artificial seasoning. Okay, you can replace it with some herbs and natural spices like turmeric, ginger, fennel seed, and even spearmint. According to research carried out on spearmint have shown to have a lot of benefits to individuals that are having PCOS. And this, you can get spearmint from the local market, or when you get it, you dry your ginger, grind it, and put it in your shelf, in the kitchen shelf. In the morning, you just take spearmint and add tea and add ginger to it and drink it. Or else you are someone, maybe if you have stomach ulcer, you should just know the level of ginger you put to avoid toxicity. Okay, then in conclusion, I would like to let you know that PCOS is epigenetics, meaning both gene and environment, they come together to make this. So it's epigenetics, and to address it, as you're addressing the genetic part of it, you must address the environmental part of it. But if you just stick on just environmental part of it or genetic part of it, it's not going to solve the problem. Remember where the study I stated by Aya et al. Had the brought up 480 women having this issue, and they did co-supplementation for them, calcium and vitamin D. And what happened after some weeks? Some started menstruating as normal. Okay, it shows that there are some factors that must come together. Then if you also, as a woman, you want to get a job, mind the kind of job you get, because there's some job you get or location where you live, inhaling some things that are not chemical waste product. Inhaling it will not just affect you, but it can also affect your unborn children. So you should be very selective while getting a job because of PCOS. Then checkup is very important. Even if when you feel there's no symptom, just as a woman, you just check up to know how you're doing. Then another thing that is important is that you should try and consume foods consume food that are tailored to your gene. What do I mean by consuming food that are tailored to your gene? Food that are tailored to your gene, the genetic composition, it meets your standard, not just taking transition diet. A lot of people do a lot of transition diet. If a food that is tailored to the gene of an Asian man is not the same for an African. So if you're using this medication, if it's not really built, or if it's not really, you know, um, built for your country, for example, or for your region, if you take it, happy Heritage Day to Lulula. Thank you. Hey, welcome everybody. My apologies. So you should also try to take foods that are tailored to your gene. This is the end of our webinar today on PCOS, environmental or genetics. We will be waiting for your questions, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. Please just ask your questions before we call it a day. My apologies, it couldn't come up. I don't know. My slide couldn't come up. But from what we've discussed today, just you can ask your questions. Drop your questions. Ensure you share this video with people around. It's going to benefit them, because a lot have been said, but we need practice. We really need practice. If you notice, in today's webinar, we tried a lot to put in evidence-based work that have been carried out of recent for citation. People, they sampled 480 people, they did co-supplementation, the results, how they restored their menstrual frequency, and people that took selenium, and how it worked out. Thank you for being part of this. Do have a wonderful day. Bye.